Welcome to the Friday midday news on Zodiak with me, Veronica Katsagumanja. The headlines. Main telecenter for the forthcoming by-elections to be set up in the capital, Lilongwe. Youth and society concerned with rising cases of corruption in government institutions. Chileka International Airport in Blantyre set to reopen next week Monday on 9th November. And in business news, Ameris Hotel in Blantyre presented a 5-star accolade. Now the news in detail. We begin with news that one person has died while others have been treated as outpatients after eating wild roots suspected to be poisonous at Rumwira 1 village in Leza. Leza District Health Office spokesperson Mwaili Abonya has identified the deceased as a 5-year-old Precious Mike. Zodiak understands that people from Rumwira 1 are surviving on wild roots and maize husks due to hunger that has stricken the area. The Malawi Electoral Commission has announced that Lilongwe will host its telecenter for the forthcoming by-elections. Spokesperson for the Commission, Sangwan Mofurirwa, has told us that this is due to strategic location of the city in regards to the election, in addition to the less workload as compared to the general elections. He explains.
We are having 3 by-elections, one in the south, one in the center, and one in the north. The center and north are parliamentary by-elections. Now, for our ease of logistics, the Commission decided to shift the telecenter to Lilongwe so that those that are coming from Kalonga should not travel far distance and meet us at the center. I should also be quick to explain that it's been much easier to shift this main telecenter to Lilongwe just because this is on a scale, it should be a scale election. It doesn't demand that much movement of ICT material to the main telecenter. In the past, we have always kept our main telecenter in Blantyre because of other IT requirements. That's why we've always been operating from Blantyre. But for this one, the demand is not that huge. That's why we have also moved it to Lilongwe.
Youth and society says it is worrisome the country is fast turning into a corruption swamp following the many government institutions that are involved in corrupt practices. The organization says Malawi will continue to face numerous challenges if this is not addressed. During a media briefing in Mzuzu Thursday, YAS Executive Director Charles Kajorowega cited massive corrupt practices that have marred Electricity Supply Corporation of Malawi and Lilongwe Water Board, saying they need to be checked. Dweda Kumwenda has more. Meanwhile, the Anti-Corruption Bureau ACB has turned down a request by former President Peter Mutharika to unfreeze his bank accounts. ACB Director General Reinik Matemba told Zodiak the Bureau is still investigating the former president on cement procurement case, hence rejecting the request, but may only consider him to make small withdrawals for general living expenses, which the law permits. The former president recently told Zodiak in an exclusive interview that he is surviving through support from well-wishers since his accounts were frozen by the SCB over 2 months ago.
Their lawyers, or his lawyers, wrote us and explained that the president wanted to have the account unfrozen. We responded to say we haven't finished our work, but I indicated that the law allows a person whose account has been frozen to have access to the account for what they call general living expenses, including medical expenses, school fees if they have children that go to school, as well as maybe to pay for utility bills. The reason is very simple. It's because the law presumes them to be innocent. So what they did when they heard me saying we may not be able to unfreeze the frozen account, they have written us again to say, okay, then in that case, can you allow our client to access some of the funds for general living expenses? We find that request to be fair because the law allows that, and we'll be able to consider it accordingly. Once we do that, we'll be able to inform the people of Malawi, because we want to be transparent, we want to be open, we want to be accountable to the people that we serve.
So as it is now, it's that they have a chance to withdraw the money after the process?
Yes, the chance is there, because he will not be the first one. There's one other person whom I will not disclose the name. He or she also applied to the ACB to have access to some little funds to pay for medical expenses, because he or she had been hospitalized. So we allowed that because the law allows that. So let me plead with the people of Malawi. If they hear that we have allowed any person whose account was frozen access to have some of the monies, it's not that we are breaking the law. It's not that we are compromised. No, the law allows that. There are a number of cases by the High Court, the Supreme Court, that allows that.
Women have been encouraged to participate in the ongoing conversation about the Beijing Declaration and platform if gender equality is to be achieved in the country. Malawi Human Rights Resource Center Executive Director Emma Galia says 25 years after the Beijing Declaration was instituted, there have been a lot of initiatives aimed at empowering women, but a lot more needs to be achieved. Speaking at the regional consultations in Mzuzu, Speaker of the National Assembly, Catherine Kudanhara, said while pursuing gender equality, men should not be left behind. Lest they take it, women want to grab their spaces. Angela Nkandawide with the details.
Women from several sectors in the northern region met in Mzuzu to add their voice on how to advance gender equality 25 years after the Beijing Declaration. The Beijing Platform for Action was adopted by 189 governments, including Malawi, to achieve an agenda for the empowerment of women and girls in areas of decision-making, human rights, poverty, education, health, violence, just to mention a few. Rights activist Emma Kalia says 25 years down the line, Malawi seems to be making a lot of strides in terms of women empowerment, but says more can be done if a lot of women that were not there when the platform was set can also join in the conversation.
They've been invited from different corners of society with different backgrounds, diverse, to come and contribute to the conversation that will be moving forward to be submitted to many other conversations that are taking place across the world. But more specifically, we should be submitting some of the discussions we're making here to the UN Women so that it contributes to building the future for the women in the whole world.
Speaker of the National Assembly, Catherine Kudanhara, says while pursuing gender, men should not be left behind as they are partners in ending the gender divide.
If we leave the men out, then I think that gap is what is causing the social imbalance. We have to make sure we take the men along from the time they are born, and even the men that are old enough, the men that we have around us, because for the woman to be empowered, it also needs the man to be involved.
Meanwhile, chairperson for NGO Gender Coordination Network, Babla Banda, says the current consultations are meant to create a momentum through a women's movement that will make women call for urgency on issues that affect them, mostly gender-based violence. For Zodiak, this is Angela Nkandawide.
The World Bank and Malawi government have signed a 259 billion kwacha financing agreement to assist in areas of governance, water improvement and financial inclusion. Speaking after the signing, World Bank country manager Hugh Riddell said pressure mounts for implementing partners to perform as the project's sustainability depends on that performance. Minister of Finance Felix Mlusu says it is the responsibility of the current regime to ensure that implementation is done according to paperwork, considering that Malawi needs more assistance as she is grappling with effects of climate change and the COVID-19. We have this report filed by Western Guta.
The 259 billion kwacha assistance from the World Bank will go towards governance, water improvement and financial inclusion. World Bank country manager Hugh Riddell said the bank will continue to implement these developmental programs with its partners. Riddell therefore cautioned Malawi to prudently use the resources for sound results.
The elements in these projects is that they are all performance-based. What does that mean? That means that the resources are provided in a way that supports performance. So if the performance is not there in the institutions, if we're not seeing, if we're seeing very slow implementation, if we're seeing institutions not meeting the criteria, then the resources are not allocated. And that means that the pressure is on the institutions, on the Malawian institutions, to deliver, and then the resources will come.
Minister of Finance Felix Mlusu has assured the donor community that Capitol Hill will closely monitor use of the funds, adding that it will also assist institutional empowerment to benefit locals, most of them in rural areas where access to basic needs is a challenge.
I can assure you and I can assure every Malawian that the resources that we are getting will be effectively, efficiently and prudently used in a transparent manner. So there shouldn't be any doubt at all.
The funds are also touted to strengthen local councils in deepening accountability and environmental management that will in turn win donor confidence. Like many countries, Malawi is reeling from the effects of climate change and the coronavirus pandemic. Reporting for Zodiak in Lilongwe, this is Western Guta.
The Malawi Diaspora Network of Health Experts in the United States, in partnership with organizations, have donated 6 million kwacha worth of personal protective equipment, PPEs, to some CHAM hospitals in the northern region to ensure their fellow health workers are safe from contracting coronavirus while in line of duty. Presenting the donation to St. John's, Ikwendeni, and Mbangweni Mission Hospitals in Mzuzu, Malawi representative of the group, Dr. John Chibolombwe, said despite Malawi experiencing a reduction in coronavirus cases, the pandemic is still around, such that both health workers and citizens need to continue protecting themselves. He speaks to Angela Nkandawiri.
Okay, despite the fact that COVID-19 numbers are decreasing, but those cases we still see, they still come to the hospital. And if they're coming to the hospital, it means as medical personnel, we still need to protect ourselves. And this protection should be 24 hours. So this donation is coming at the right time because we are donating it to health workers who are supposed to protect themselves 24 hours with those cases which are still coming. We cannot take ourselves to say, no, COVID has gone and we need to relax on the COVID prevention. That's not the way. So, but all this, it requires the mindset change. And that mindset change to the populace, it requires both your effort, our effort, and everybody's effort to counteract this problem.
Receiving the donation, CCAP Synod of Livingstonia Health Director Ms. Mpatso Ngulwe said since the onset of the pandemic, CHAM facilities have been struggling to have enough PPEs for its health workers, and the donation comes in handy to deal with the challenge.
You know, we are struggling to find the PPEs for our staff in the hospitals. So to have people think of us in the CHAM hospitals, we're so happy that we have them.
You're watching the news on Zodiak, and you're with me, Veronica Katsaumanja. A reminder of the top stories as we continue. Main tally center for the forthcoming by-elections to be set up in the capital, Lilongwe. Youth and society concerned with rising cases of corruption in government institutions. Zodiak International Airport in Blantyre is set to reopen next week, Monday on 9th November. In business news, Ameris Hotel in Blantyre presented a 5-star accolade. Moving on, Minister of Health Kumbizeka Ndushibonda has disclosed that Zodiak International Airport in Blantyre will reopen for passenger planes on 9th November after passing all COVID-19 preventive protocols. This comes at a time after Kamuzu International Airport in Lilongwe was reopened on 1st September. Steve Zimba caught up with Chibonda.
We had been receiving concerns. You know, we opened the Kamuzu International Airport. That is almost a month now. But there were also concerns from the people from the southern region regarding Zodiak Airport because it was still closed. So we received those concerns and we asked our team to go and check using the guidelines which we had provided to the aviation department. Those are regarding following the preventive measures, sanitation, washing hands, screening in terms of temperature, but also checking the people who are coming in, the travelers, how we are going to check them. We still have to check them. But also, you know that it is mandatory that all of them, they have to present their COVID certificate test to show that they have been tested and they have been tested negative. So we're still putting that in place. And now we send our team to check their preparedness. And the team is happy with what Chileka has done. And so we have decided that the Chileka airport is good to go from the 9th of November.
On the business front, the Ministry of Tourism has cautioned the country's hotels against providing free services to government officials, saying this can affect the hotel's survival. Minister of Tourism, Dr. Kwagwanji, says ministers and government officials should not be abusing hotels, hence must always pay for services. Yesterday, Dr. Kwagwanji presented a 5-star accolade to Amaryllis Hotel in Blantyre with a call to management to ensure services provided befit the hotel's 5-star status or risk downgrading. Alfred Guda reports.
Minister of Tourism, Dr. Kwagwanji, says his ministry wants to see the country's hotels thriving. On Thursday, Dr. Kwagwanji presented a 5-star accolade to Amaryllis Hotel in Blantyre, where he implored on management of the hotel to deliver services that are in tandem with the 5-star status. The Minister of Tourism further warned ministers and government officials against abusing the hotels by not paying for services rendered.
So what we are saying, as Tonse Alliance government, we don't want to abuse hotels. When they come here, if the cabinet minister, government officials, they will have to pay for the services. If there should be any complementary services, it should be upon their own volition, not to be forced, because we don't have that policy. For example, I've been here for 2 days working. It is the ministry that arranged, and I am here, and I've said I will have to pay, and I've paid for some of the services. We don't want to be compromised, because these complementaries are good, but sometimes you have to balance up, because you could be compromised.
Amaryllis Hotel Chief Executive Officer Yusuf Shiraz Yusuf has assured the citizenry of high quality services.
The way we see Amaryllis Hotel, it's a lifestyle center in Blantyre. There's very few things that we don't offer, from shopping downstairs at Food Lovers Market to having a fantastic meal upstairs at Splash. We might appear as very expensive, but we're actually very affordable. You can buy a meal at Splash for 5,000 kwacha, or you can spend 20,000 kwacha for a meal. Our rooms are very well priced, very competitively priced at 70,000 kwacha, which is less than $100.
Recently, President Lazarus Chakwera challenged the country's hotels to ensure locals afford their services. For Zodiak in Blantyre, this is Alfred Guda reporting.
Now to sports news. The Athletics Association of Malawi says it will seek government's consideration for the hiring of a full-time national athletics coach ahead of next year's Olympic Games in Tokyo, Japan. The association's General Secretary, Frank Chitembeya, has told us the country has failed to produce good results at recent international events because athletes haven't had full-time trainers to sharpen their skills. In recent years, it has been Francis Mutali, a Malawi Police Service officer, who has been serving the role of athletics head coach in acting capacity. But Chitembeya says the athletics governing body will be Capitol Hill to hire a full-time trainer. Sambanda reports.
Chitembeya says having a full-time athletics trainer is a requirement which the world's athletics governing body, the IAAF, set for its member associations as part of preparations for big events such as the Olympic Games, but the Athletics Association of Malawi has relied much on temporary trainers due to financial constraints. The AAM General Secretary says the number of upcoming athletes continue to rise, but their potential is not realized because they do not have a full-time coach to drill them. According to Chitembeya, a full-time trainer will be responsible for scouting junior and senior runners in both boys and girls categories.
We are supposed to have the national coach who is supposed to be on payroll, government payroll. This is a necessity, something that we cannot run away if we want to make progress in athletic sports. It will be our initiative now that we are being reminded of this very important issue, that we should ask the government. A coach is very necessary as we are in the Tokyo 2021. We feel like we are a bit late, but not too late. We'll be able to engage government so that we can have such a person to be on board, prove them for the Olympic Games.
Malawi Police Service Officer Francis Muntali led Malawian athletes during the 2012 Olympic Games, and recently the Athletics Association of Malawi has depended on temporary trainers such as John Mwatiwa, Emmanuel Mulonya and Moses Kondowe in drilling local athletes ahead of tournaments.
And that's what we had time for in this edition of news. But before we go, another look at the headlines. Main telecenter for the forthcoming by-elections to be set up in the capital, Lilongwe. Youth and society concerned with rising cases of corruption in government institutions. Chileka International Airport in Blantyre set to reopen next week, Monday, on 9th November. In business, Ameris Hotel in Blantyre presented a 5-star accolade. Log on to our website, zodiacmalawi.com, for more news. You have been with me, Veronica Katsawumanja. Remember to wash your hands regularly with soap to help stop further spread of COVID-19.
Check in for the breaking news with Zodiac on your mobile phone. Just SMS the word ZBS and send it to 54141. You will get an instant response and get all the information and the latest news.